Well, you got me at a bad time. I've been trying to become a film buff lately, and what better way to do that than by playing through every DVD ever produced. I've got my trusty PS2 by my side, so let's get started with... Oh, screw it, I'm going back to Mario.
Think of the biggest industry ever made. Then throw it out and think of the video game industry, because we're on top. I will celebrate this win until the day I die. Video games are massive, there's no doubt about that anymore. I think even grandparents are realising that not every device is a Nintendo. But making a video game is hard work. You need graphics, sound, gameplay, writers, and all of that adds up to quite a lot of money. So if you have a video game character who you just need to make money off of but can't make them a brand new game right now, how do you exploit them for revenue? By making a movie, of course. Movies are a great cost-effective way to use a character. All you need to make an animated film on graphics, sound, writers, but no gameplay.
Another classic win for Detroit Become Human.
I think it's pretty natural for a growing IP to immediately be shoved into any possible form of revenue that executives can think of. Clothing, TV shows, comics, books, just about anything that could have their face on it is going to have their face on it. So when video game characters started to get popular, stuff like this was inevitable. Well, as inevitable as 30-year gaps are, at least.
So I have my night planned out. I have invisible movies to the right of me, popcorn on my lap, and a totally unrelated streaming service open on my TV. Okay, the options were either spend 20 quid on these movies or watch them all for free on a streaming service. And to be honest with you, I'm not spending £20 on Sonic the Hedgehog on Blu-ray. I'll have it by next week. Oh, and just before we begin, please, for the love of God, do not treat these as serious reviews. Let's start!
Sonic's jump to the big screen is infamous, to say the least. I think we all know why. The film was initially planned as far back as the 1990s, but it wouldn't really get off the ground until Sony acquired the film rights in 2013. That's a pretty common trend with a lot of video game movies. Development hell. They'll plan or even make a movie pretty soon after the IP starts to get popular, but when that either falls apart or is genuinely horrendous, they'll restart about 30 years later. Such is the case with Sonic the Hedgehog, who wouldn't be revealed until April of 2019 and... Oh, Jesus fucking wept.
Aside from the blood leaking from my eyes, that was a pretty good trailer.
Sonic's design was...
Wait, hold on, sorry, still bleeding.
Sonic's design was hideous. A quick breakdown for those who might not see the issues.
Because the blood in their eyes is blinding them.
Sonic has white fur on his stomach instead of beige like his face, his hands are just white fur, he should be wearing gloves like in the original, his arms are way too thick, his eyes, oh my god, his eyes. His eyes are separated and not conjoined, look too human-like to belong in this creature, and to top it all off, he has human teeth!
I may have human teeth, but at least my arms aren't that thick.
The film was delayed by about 3 months to fix Sonic's design, and overall, they did a really good job. One thing that I always appreciated was that they never connected his eyes, but they made part of the fur near his nose white to give the illusion that he has connected eyes. It's a nice balance between the design used in the games versus the one that blinded me. Watching the movie was pretty good, actually. The plot follows Sonic living in the real world, hiding away from people until, giant EMP blast. Dr. Robotnik, played by Jim Carrey, is tasked with hunting him down, and I gotta say, Carrey was probably the best choice possible to play Robotnik. He just has that complete insanity that Eggman needs. He's perfect.
Big deal. I'm legally insane and they never called me up to play Robotnik. Maybe that's because of my criminal record, though.
Realising that he's about to be hunted for sport, Sonic prepares to leave Earth using his funky ring portals, but that's when good old human character 1 steps in and fucks everything up.
I'm sorry, but I'm not giving any of these human characters a dignified name.
Sonic's rings drop down onto probably the only slightly recognisable building they could get the rights to use, which triggers a reluctant road trip for human character 1 and Sonic. They get up to some totally wacky PG antics along the way, like a violent bar fight. After making it into the Trans-America Pyramid, Sonic recovers his portal rings. Robotnik uses one of Sonic's quills to match his speed, chasing him all the way around the world until they arrive back at Green Hill. That's probably metaphorical of the entire Sonic franchise by now. Sonic looks defeated but manages to beat Robotnik and send him to the Mushroom Planet through everyone's favourite.
The power of friendship!
The government steps in and does what they do best, cover up some major events and Olive Garden product placement. Human character 1 and 2 end up living together, Sonic joins them as their weird illegitimate pet/son, Eggman steals one of Sonic's quills and tells us in the post-credit scene. The end.
Oh, spoilers, sorry. I mean, the movie was pretty good. It was definitely a family movie for sure, but it portrays Sonic and Robotnik well enough that I can't really complain. And hey, while I'll always prefer a Sonic movie without human characters, they were fine enough. They were tolerable additions that were ultimately important for the plot, whether I like it or not. Gonna need a decent rating system to keep track of these. Screw it. 7 popcorn pieces out of this bowl.
It makes sense to keep this Sonic movie watching tradition going with Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Yes, the Sonic movie that was initially branded as Dead on Arrival actually ended up getting a second installment. And a third film. and a spin-off series.
Oh, maybe by the fourth film my eyes will stop bleeding.
This all started from this, by the way. So the plot picks up exactly where Sonic 1 ended, with Robotnik, now Dr. Eggman, finally making it off the Mushroom Planet thanks to Knuckles. He immediately comes after Sonic, who's now living with Human Character 1 and Human Character 2. Speaking of them, they're off to Hawaii for Human Character 2's sister's wedding.
Honestly, good to see them being written out of the film. I didn't really like their inclusion initially. I just want a Sonic movie about Sonic. Oh god damn it, they're integral to the plot.
While they're away, Eggman finds Sonic's home and sends in Knuckles to beat the ever-loving shit out of him, but he's saved by Tails and gets roped into a race to the Master Emerald to prevent Eggman from taking over the world. It's time for another epic, poorly paced and PG-friendly road trip with Sonic. In fairness, this one isn't really a road trip, it's more of a world trip, but there is another bar scene, so I'm counting it. After a dance battle, a ton of references to past Sonic games, and weird scenes featuring various human characters, Sonic meets up with his family in Hawaii, where all hell is breaking loose after the groom of the wedding reveals himself to be an agent of Gun, and only marrying his bride to capture Sonic.
We're not even up to Act 3, how so much happened?
After more human scenes I don't really care about, Sonic and Knuckles bond over drowning and team up to defeat Eggman, who has now betrayed Knuckles and taken the Master Emerald for himself. Eggman assembles his Robo-Eggman, that's probably the name for it, and nearly kills Sonic and his Human Character 1 and 2. Like, he literally crushes them. That's f***ed. But everything's okay in the end as Sonic turns into Super Sonic, saves his family and friends, uses the power of Christ to summon the chili dog, and also literally kills Eggman.
I'm exhausted.
Oh, and Shadow gets teased in the post-credit scene.
Huh? So that was Sonic 2, and it was a lot. Like the first film, this was a family film. Literally. The whole plot is that Sonic finds his own family of the human characters and Tails and Knuckles. The acting was good, Jim Carrey obviously shone as Eggman, but he announced at the film's premiere that he was retiring after this film. Out of all the films to retire on, Sonic the Hedgehog 2? It leaves the job of Eggman open to me though, so let's stick on another film while I prepare.
Okay, what else do we have here? The Wizard. Sure, fine, that'll kill 2 hours. The Wizard is one of the earliest video game movies we have here, released way back in 1989, only a month before Super Mario Bros. 3 in North America, remember that. Our main character here is Jimmy Woods, a withdrawn young boy who's struggling with the death of his twin sister. She got Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and ever since then his parents' marriage has been falling apart.
Honey, we know this is a weird time for you, being dead and all, and even though me and Daddy don't love each other anymore, we just want you to know, it was entirely your fault.
Aside from carrying a lunchbox everywhere, Jimmy's gimmick is that he's insanely good at playing games. But his stepfather wants Jimmy institutionalized, a natural response after seeing any sort of video game talent. His stepbrother, Corey, won't stand for it, so he smuggles his brother out of the house with them meet a girl called Haley. Haley tells them about a video game competition called Video Armageddon, boasting a cash prize that could surely bring Jimmy's parents back together. So the trio set off on a oh god damn it.
Okay, I'm fast forwarding it. I literally cannot be bothered to sit for another road trip. At least the last one had Sonic in it. This has only got a cheesy 80s romance and a mentally disturbed third wheel.
So we arrive at Video Armageddon, where Jimmy is up against Lucas Barton, a snobby power glove wearing nerd who doesn't deserve to win the competition compared to the morning Jimmy. Their final game happens to be none other than Super Mario Bros. 3. A game that wasn't out in the US at the time.
Wait. The Wizard is just a Super Mario Bros. 3 commercial.
I mean, it was even in the trailer thinking about it. The entire film builds up to the main character playing a hot ticket game releasing in a month, combined with the inclusion of the Power Glove and Nintendo Power Line. This film was all just one big Nintendo advertisement. I need a good palate cleanser after that. What else is here? Ronaldo vs Messi face-off. Detective Pikachu.
Oh, thank God.
This was a weird option for a film. You could have based it off of a classic journey, just straight up rip the plot of Pokemon Yellow for a film. You could have based it off of Ash's journey from the anime, but you decided to pick the 3DS spin-off game? And it worked? Our main character is Tim Goodman, a failed trainer who gave up on his dreams after his mother died.
God, what is it with video game movies and killing off close relatives?
He's told that his father Harry has been killed in a car accident.
Jesus!
Tim goes to his dad's apartment to clean up, where he meets Lucy Stevens, a girl who's trying to investigate Harry's death alongside Harry's detective partner, a Pikachu. They run away from these Pokemon who have been enraged by the weird R-smoke Tim accidentally released. After a few weird drug jokes, Pikachu figures out that Harry must be alive because the police never found his body, prompting a
Road trip?
Actually, not a road trip. There's a cool VFX fight scene and another weird interrogation scene where Tim threatens to burn a Mr. Mime to death. Jesus Christ, how dark is this film? Pikachu keeps pointing out that the Psyduck next to them is a walking bomb threat. Pikachu nearly dies for like the 20th time in Pokemon canon, but Mewtwo saves him before Howard's son, Roger, kidnaps Mewtwo. Howard then becomes a twist villain by transferring his entire consciousness into Mewtwo using the art. Jesus!
This is so dark for a Pokemon film.
They could have just done a live action version of the Pokemon anime film, but instead we got a literal chemical attack which fuses Pokemon with their trainers. Roger turns out to be a victim of identity theft from a Ditto which gets melted.
I mean, the wizard has the main character's sister drown, but at least that's before the film began.
Tim removes the headset from Clifford, Mewtwo fixes everything, and plot twist, Harry has been fused to Pikachu the entire time. One quick Ryan Reynolds cameo later, and the credits roll.
What the f***?
This one got weirdly dark, at least by my standards. Like, I'm not saying the other Pokemon movies aren't dark. I have a really distinct childhood memory of being traumatized by the scene in this Pokemon movie where Ash literally freezes and dies. Maybe it's because it's in live action, but this one just felt bizarrely darker for some weird reason. Or maybe I'm just noticing a lot more of the darker elements because I'm not a small child anymore, who knows. Speaking of which, why don't we check out the rest of the Pokemon movies? There's been a few of them. That could be a fun way to round out this binge watch.
Oh, shit, Pokemon cat. It, just take the whole bowl. Video game movies are a weird one. While some can be at least decent homages to their source material, others are either very weird, very bad, or just serve as pointless advertising for consumers to gawk at. Still, it's undeniable that seeing your favourite IP get abducted and put into a TV show or film is cool. But it would be a lot cooler if I had something physical to hold. Problem solved.